Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech. This is episode 160. Okay, and I've been doing this only audio for a while. This is audio and video as well. So I have a guest here, and he's achieving things. He's not just saying it just to say it. It's not empty symbolism, which ticks me off, to be quite frank. They preach a good game, but executing a good game, oh, that's an entirely different story. Very disappointing, just to say it mildly. And I'm gonna try to be mild mannered, instead of letting the spicy words fly out. So might be a little more dull than usual. And this is a theme of professionalism, people. I don't intend to be a foul mouthed person for the rest of my life. Probably when I hit 40, I'll probably master that. But anyways, enough of self-deprecation. I have a guest here. He is the CEO of the Uncommon League. And he's going to go through a couple of topics with us. The main ones would be, what the heck is positive conflict? Can conflict be positive? It's don't mean negative thing, right?
Oh, conflict is only supposed to be negative. You're not supposed to have positive conflict. What's up with that?
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
Yeah,
this guy's off of his rocker, right?
Right?
Yeah, and it's been I've been in this industry for a long time, right? And just there's conflict all the time, and it happens, and it's just something you have to kind of work with and get around with, and over the years of being in these not so comfortable situations, you kind of figure out how to handle things a little bit more differently, so that you're not having that frustrating, horrifying experience where you just want to quit and go somewhere else, right? And I think that the positive conflict, what the book talks about is it talks about understanding how you as an individual respond to conflict. And I think that's an important part to understand is yourself first, and then kind of see how that kind of falls out and how that works. And there's a little quiz in there to kind of get you a little where you need to be. And then the next thing is how does the group responding to conflict at that moment in time? Where are they? Are they in, just like this very, heads against each other, just kind of banging away there? Or is there's somebody that's just completely withdrawing because they're overwhelmed? Or is it, somebody's just trying to win? What's the situation? And you want to get that group dynamic to kind of move more toward collaborate, where you've got everybody that's kind of in there and working together. And that's not always easy to do, because when you come into conflict a lot, you have that mentality, right? I'm going to win, you're going to lose. That's the way it is. And I think that maybe not the right mentality to hit on, but that's kind of a starting point. And then from there we go into looking at the techniques of actually working within that framework of conflict, right? You got friction. That's the first part, the little sandpaper kind of moment. There's definitely friction there. And it's understanding each other at that, point, and being able to allow each of us unique human beings to express ourselves and to be able to look at these things in a meaningful way and just kind of talk about that. And also the other part that comes next is the experimentation, the resolution part of it as well, is that, you go out there and you have this thing that you're trying to solve, you're trying to get to, right? And it's usually, some sort of misunderstanding of design or process or what happened or any of that kind of stuff. And you really want to get into really collaborating on that and seeing the whole thing from a very holistic point of view. And you also want to experiment on some of this stuff. I mean, if it's like a design choice or, just some sort of other issue where you can prototype it and play with it in a sandbox, absolutely go for it. And not be afraid of it. I love the story of Thomas Edison and the fact that he, although a little bit kooky, had the idea that, hey, let's just have these teams compete against each other to come up with a filament for a light bulb. And when you think about that in today's world, that would be insane. Your boss is never going to walk in and say, yeah, we have 5 teams working on building this. It's just not practical. But it did produce a lot of good things, because what he did was he took the best of all of those things and combine them together to create a really robust solution. And that's really why we do that, understanding and having these experiences of where we build out and then come together in resolution. Resolution is where you're working through all of the good stuff. And I love my four houses technique because it's looking at the quadrants and it's saying, hey, what do you like about this? What do you like about this solution? Or what do you like about this? Or what do you like about that? And kind of coming together and putting together a list as a group of the things that we like, the things that we see are as positive, and then building from there outward. It's just a much better experience, as opposed to, getting negative and just kind of like chopping everything down, and it just gets kind of very bad and kind of ugly at times. Starting from that point of positivity and kind of growing from there, and pretty much that's positive conflict. It's really looking at it from a negative, from not from a negative perspective, but for a positive perspective.
Turning a negative situation to a positive one, right? And I mean, a lot of, I'm sure a lot of us, even globally, conflicts do start negative. I mean, let's just be clear, but turn to positive. See, it's not a crazy idea. It may sound crazy in the surface, but once you dig down to some things, it makes sense. And another question that seems kooky on the surface, at least, why should failure be harnessed for success? Why should we embrace failure? You're worthless. You should be condemned for being a failure. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a forgiving person. Go ahead.
But that's the way business is, right? I mean, when you get into your job and you fail, what happens, right? You get the naughty, and you're terrible, and all this kind of craziness is going on there. But the reality is that failure is an opportunity to learn. And organizations and people that actually sit and fail and learn from that are far more stronger than those that don't, because it's embracing that. I think the classic example of that is that we have that mantra in Silicon Valley, fail fast, fail often kind of deal. Well, I took a twist on that a little bit because I think it's more than just failure fast. I think it's failure in finding a safe spot to land, right? I think it's that, yeah, you want to fail because you will learn. That's Dick Hobbs' learning theory right there in a nutshell. But you want to find a little planning a little bit ahead of time so that you find that little soft spot to land on. And it's actually just kind of putting yourself out there a little bit more, kind of going a little bit beyond your comfort zone a little bit, and being okay with it, being okay with failure. It's like I took a pottery class, and as God is my witness, I was not able to make a plate. I couldn't even get a flat circle to work. I was terrible at it. But I did it anyway because it was such a great experience, and I learned a lot from that, and I had great conversations in the class and all that good stuff. And I did the same thing when I learned how to ski. I was on the bunny hill, and we're talking to the instructor and everything, and I just started to slide backwards. We hadn't even got to the point of me being taught how to stop, and I'm just sliding on back, crashing into the trees, and it was just like, it was embarrassing. It was terrible. I mean, crying out loud, I didn't even get up the bunny hill. I was still on the bottom of the bunny hill, and I was still failing. And it was a good experience nonetheless. If I hadn't put myself out there and I hadn't had that experience, I would not have met so many nice people who were helping me up and had that whole conversation around it. And I think that putting yourself out there for failure and being curious and trying new things and just kind of experimenting there, you'll discover new things about yourself. You'll discover other people and build relationships. And a lot of the failures that I've had over my career in the big stuff, the projects and money and all that kind of good stuff, I have certainly learned from, and I don't repeat it. And I learned from those failures and how to kind of work my life a little bit better from that perspective. So failure is good. That's how you started to walk. You didn't just, jump up on your feet and start running. But you were crawling a little bit and you were falling down and all that good stuff. Mom and dad were holding you up and you had a little bit of support. And that was a failure at initially, but you kept at it and you kept trying and you kept moving it. And then eventually you got to the point where you could do it all on your own and you could run around.
Say, people, this is a very, very good answer. If I have to give it a school grade, I would give this an easy A if I was grading this, because you just essentially flip the question on its head. These are the best responses, and when I say that, I mean it's just, do I even want to counter that, or I just add on to it? Nope, not countering it. That's out of the question. I will add on to it because I could personally relate. Ski, even though I fell forward literally because I went too fast, I crashed into a tree. At least I got up to a bunny hill
Oh, wow.
bar. But I did have a lot of nice people. The only one I was mean was my teacher out of all people. But everybody else was just very kind and helpful. And so relax, just a kid. Oh, so I was somewhat trauma. I would say briefly traumatized with that. So, oh my goodness. What the heck is wrong with that teacher? He was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." You know, the typical lecture, and I
Right.
just slipped. I really just slipped. You know, I was a little nervous, excited. I was like what 9 years old at the time, and all that. I mean, come on, you
Yeah.
can't expect a kid to perfectly behave, even if they are well behaved children in nature. Some of them really are, but they're gonna slip up. I mean, what the heck? That was just actually
So,
crazy. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and then the second time I did better. I started getting the crooks and I started getting the hugs on the head position, moving a certain way, train my arms, move a certain way, and all that. I have no means an expert, but it was a learning experience. It was just, do I really need all that emotional theater? No, but I think teachers used to be yeah, I understand strict and disciplined and all that, but also try to take the kids' emotional and mental health into consideration.
Absolutely.
So that's all I'm gonna say for that. Just to add on to it because it is. You see, this is. I just hope you're not having a goldfish moment. And you just, I don't know, stare to the abyss or something. Have everything tuned out. This is valuable here. Okay, this is very very valuable stuff. So and now, well, failure, I mean, learn from it is great. The only question, well, I'm gonna go through so much plugin. You got a lot of good plugin that I'm gonna go through, and then yeah, who knows? Maybe one will turn to a good ad because I probably have some. I could probably add to that. I was just reading this. Oh yeah, I probably add something to it. I might get to that a little later. The other thing that got me curious about global events.
Hmm.
Well, not just leaders, I'll probably broaden it up a bit further. I mean, leaders and facilitators, presenters in general, learn a global event. I know American audience, global audience have some differences. I'm fully aware of that, and probably certain commonalities. Yeah, feel free to elaborate on that.
I was told that, recently I went to Belgium, right? And I gave a keynote presentation there, and we were talking about positive conflict. And we're going through this, and, the guy pulled me aside and said, well, you really got to pull it back a little bit because these people are very conservative and all that kind of good stuff. And I don't know why I did that, but I kind of didn't be my authentic self a little bit. I lost that. And I think that that was felt in the room. And it was a good presentation. They were very excited about it and a lot of good things. And, a few of the people that I had known for years were in the audience and they said, well, it just wasn't quite up to the way that you normally are. And I said, well, I got this advice and, I kind of took it. And I think I'm kind of regretting not being authentic to who I am and how I would speak. And I think that that was an important part. Yeah, I think that you tailor it a little bit to each of the different countries a little bit in language, definitely. They each have their sort of slang and their business slang that you kind of have to work around and kind of get so that you don't get into trouble. And that's great, but I think it's the energy that you have and just this authentic nature that is going to make you do very well in the global situation. I mean, folks know you're an American, right? I mean, as soon as you walk in the door, it's pretty obvious, and they have expectations of that, and they have expectations of just looking at me as a guy with a beard and all this kind of stuff. They've got certain things that they've prejudged me on, and that's fine. And I go in there and I be myself and I do the best job that I can, and I get that passion and that energy and I rock and roll with it. But definitely, it's important to engage the audience. I think that's the most important. I mean, that was one of the things that my mentor had told me when I started to speak is, start strong, engage that audience, get them that aha moment, and finish strong. That was the deal with that. And I've taken that advice to heart. It does work. And the conversations that I've had with people just asking questions in keynotes have been profound. They've been like these just bright lights of insight that have happened, and I really enjoy that. And just being able to get that insight, that idea of what's kind of their perspective and how they're seeing this problem in the way that only they can see it, because they're a unique human being. They're in this space. They're in their individual nature and everything. And it's just like, wow, I never thought of that. And those are the moments that are aha moments for me. But and then giving the audience an aha moment in return is very much a good thing as well. So I think that's the one thing I just enjoy about speaking. The other thing about keynote speaking is that all of my books are based on keynotes that I've done. And as I've engaged with audiences, and before, after, during, that's given me so much insight into how to write the book, how to put the book together. What am I going to include? What am I not going to include? It's kind of a novel approach, but I like it because I'm getting all of these different perspectives from everybody, and then I can throw those into a meaningful book, and kind of create something exciting and new. And that's how Fail Fast started, Fail Safe started, Positive Conflict started that way too. It's just a keynote, and we had a conversation, and it's been developing ever since.
You see, listeners, the reason why I don't mind so much shameless plugging, because it's relevant and it has substance. If it's just, oh, go to freesuits.com in the middle of the conversation. Hey, buddy. This is no, this is irrelevant. Irrelevant the conversation. Just in case I have standards, I actually do. It's just that most guests follow in the first try because they're very experienced. I mean, me, I'm in this space for 4 years now, two handling guests. So I have some instincts, and 9 out of 10 times it serves me well. We were talking about free suits, whatever. So hey, well, excuse me. We're talking about A here, not B. But the plugin is perfectly relevant, and it's okay with me. I am a proud capitalist on that. So yeah, but you gotta show it off, advertise as much as you can, especially if it's relevant. Fine by me. So I was not promoting irrelevant and nonsense. And please don't talk to me about celebrities, especially if it's going to be damaging to mental health, because a lot of stuff they do, their news coverage, all that. Ugh, I don't want to hear that.
Mm.
There's one guest I was really had to push back on, but it was relevant to the story, how this person got NFT stolen, which I think is a ridiculous tool to begin with. But enough of that. My thing is just on relevance, and that's why the plugins is okay with me. And it should be okay with you too, because some of you got fishbowl brains, and if you forget 1 minute and all that. So I'm fine with it. And if it's repetitive, yes, it's repetitive, but some things are worth repeating. Okay. So, anyways, that's why I'm dressing my audience. Don't mind me there.
No
We
worries.
should. Okay, the next thing I have is, I know innovation is important. I know consistently innovation is important. Why should we do it? Not if. It's not an if question. It's more of a why question. Why should we consistently innovate? I'm sure some obvious answers. Oh, I don't want to be unmarketable. But provide your insight.
Well, if you're doing the same old thing, you're going to get the same old thing. You're never going to go anywhere. And innovation is part of that, of growing beyond the rut, right? And early on in my career, that was me totally, right? I mean, when I started this company, I was scared. I had a lot of fear, because I grew up in the corporate world, right? Director, all that fun and exciting stuff, great. And I didn't really feel very comfortable with, now suddenly you have to start on your own. You don't have people around you. It's kind of you're on your own. Insurance, money, finance, all that fun stuff that goes into building a business. And it was the most scariest decision that I've ever had in my life. And I think that if I had just simply stayed where I was, would I have been comfortable? Probably. I would have probably been very comfortable. But would I be happy? And I didn't think I would be. And that was the kind of sad truth of it. It was like I was getting to the point where this isn't making any happiness for me. I mean, I'm doing the job, I'm doing it well, I get it, everything's rocking and rolling, but I'm not feeling it anymore. I'm not getting that I don't know, something out of it, right? I'm not getting something out of it. And
Spark
it
is
was, yeah, yeah. And it was just kind of like that moment. And I had to take that next thing, and it was an innovative thing, right? I mean, because you have to put together your business plan and get things going and get your clients and all that and starting it up. And it was definitely a lot. And I think in the moments in my career where I have chosen innovation over stagnation have been the moments of where I have advanced the most. I have actually gained a lot of happiness, of passion, of joy in my work now that I've taken that big leap. And I think that when you talk about innovation, innovation is not only joy for yourself, but it's bringing joy to other people, right? Because when I started this company, I didn't, I'm not just a single guy. I got a team of people, and we all have this same passion of, creating our learning environments and all that good stuff that we do here at the Income League. And it's creating that community, that sense of joy and happiness and passion in others, that is something that I really enjoy, because that's something that I really like. That's something that I like to experience. I like to experience that happiness. And I think if you look at it from the perspective of innovation is a way of bringing joy and, quite frankly, just flat out goodness to other people, why wouldn't we innovate? Why wouldn't we do it? I think just the conversation around we're advancing technology simply because we can advance technology isn't the question. The question is, are you bringing that joy? Are you improving the life of other people around you? Your customers, your employees, yourself, everybody, your own family. Is this creating more passion and more joy for everyone, and just creating that really great environment? And I think that was the reason why I innovated. Not because I wanted to make a lot of money. That really wasn't, I mean, yeah, I got a mortgage to pay. So, yeah, okay, I make enough money to pay the mortgage. But I think the really important part here, and this is why I'm so passionate in some of the volunteer work that I do, is that it really gets down to just helping people, bringing them up, bringing them joy, giving them the opportunity that they need in order to succeed. I think of all the things that I have done in my life, this is the one that am certainly the most passionate about, because it really is helping people. It is helping people get to the next step in their career, in their life, and all that good, fun, and exciting stuff. So, yeah, innovate. I think it's a good thing, but don't do it for this purpose of, we have to change it because it needs to be changed. Change it because it brings joy. Should change it because it brings happiness to you and to your customers.
Yeah, that's a very great way of looking at it. Because some people say, "Oh, I need an innovators to catch up with the world," and I'm sure that brings grudge and misery and all that. Okay, I will be extra nice, or I will talk slower. And, I'm using his voice, for the more miserable people who are in suffering stagnation. I mean, personally, I have suffered stagnation, so a lot of things you're saying is on the money. I actually agree personally. So not getting debate from me on that. And since I've innovated, took risk, and that actually almost cost me my day job, but it actually ended up being rewarding, I'm actually a lot happier because I know I am not just, of course, it's nice to get extra money, but you're also bringing better, ever-reaching impact to the concern based, so that is also very important. It's not just about self, because let's be quite frank, if you just limit it to self, well, you're not that special. So let's just be very clear. That's why a lot of people are miserable. I know it's a harsh truth for some of you, but if you're focused too much on self, rather you're self-conscious or you're just selfish, everything's gonna be about me, 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 and screw the other, of course you're not gonna be happy, because we human beings, we are social animals. We are very social. So beings itself, well, you're fighting against your nature, and most of the time you're just gonna lose. The cards are
Yeah.
stacked against you there, buddy. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Wow, that's actually the nicest way I've criticized the selfish people. You see, Paul is bringing magic here, because normally I
I,
go off the positive energy. See, it spreads electronically too. I think this is scientific proof right here. All right.
It is. This is the experiment, and this is the proof.
Yeah, so this is inter Zoom, it spreads through there too. Positive, see, it's certified. Do some research on this, scientists. Positive virtual communication is possible, and positivity is contagious through virtual modes. So there you go. Bam. Politically high tech approved this message. All right. Anyways, on that. So I know that one partner that you have, tech Techfluence. If I'm saying,
Yes.
yeah, Techfluence is specifically focused on getting women and minorities into the tech industry. I gotta say, it's a noble goal. I will never criticize that goal. I think that's just, if I'm gonna be kind, very narrow-minded to criticize that goal. I think diversity in general is always good. I just wish it was done more organically and naturally, but I don't mind partnerships, boosting that up a bit because, most of the time when I see tech industry, so see white guys.
Yeah.
So let's just be quite frank. I mean, and you heard about Salmon Bankman Freed got locked up. He deserves that for scamming people. We don't want that kind of impact now, do we? Nope. So let's make it to complete 180. What specific things your organization Tech Influence has done to bring more women and minorities into the tech industry?
I think it's and the reason why I work with TechFluent, Liz McGovern is kind of the head of TechFluent, and why I really enjoy working with that organization is it's something that has always been throughout my career that I've certainly noticed. I've been in leadership positions for quite some time, and I can't tell you how many times that I have seen employees that are paid less and significantly less because of gender or even race. And it has always been very annoying to me. I'm trying to find a nice word. Annoying to me because I felt that these people were very important to my team. I thought that they were contributing an important viewpoint. Some of the people that I have worked with have been absolutely brilliant and have gone on to have just amazing careers. And I think that's because I was there to support them. I was there to go to bat and say, hey, listen, pay wise, let's look at this. Let's look at training. Let's look at this. Let's try and develop people here. It's not about just magic happening, right? It's about building the community. It's about building people. And I think that it is one of the most hardest things to do as a manager, as a director, because it's we're so busy with all the other stuff that's going on during the day, hitting us from all different angles, that we kind of forget that these are people and we need to develop them. And I remember it was pretty routine to see women being paid 30% less than men, even though they were doing a better job and they were doing the exact same job. It was just one of those things. I'd see it all the time. And I would definitely work very hard to correct that. I was like, no, this isn't fair. You can't do this. And maybe that's just internally to me as an individual where I don't feel that's equitable. I don't feel that there's a sort of justice, if you will. I don't know if that's kind of a strong word, but kind of, there has to be that equality there, especially when you're trying to create veteran teams, right? If that isn't there, it's really hard to create a good team. And so that's what kind of got me into TechFluent. And I really wanted to look at the next generation. And these are young women who are and certainly immigrants. They're in their 20s. They've gone off to a brand new country. They're learning the language. They're learning the culture. This is a huge thing, right? And it's not easy. And certainly it's not easy to get into a high-paying tech job that way. And so what they're really good at is recruiting people to go into these cohorts, and they give them a lot of broad experience and a lot of education in regards to coding, business analysis, project management, release management. I mean, they give them a nice, really good, solid background to pull from. And I think it's just, it's given somebody a leg up. And from there, they go on and they have their great careers, right? It's not about a handout. It's not that. It's about helping to give somebody else that leg up so they can take it. And that's really why I love that organization. I think it's a great organization to kind of work through some of these very tough issues in society that we have. But a mentor of mine once said, you can't build a community. You can't build someone's community for them. They have to build it themselves. And that was sort of an eye-opening moment that I realized that that's absolutely right. I'm not here to just throw money at things. That's not going to help. That's not going to do anything. I'm here to help people build communities, help them build themselves and build their, their own family, their own community. And I think that that is, it's always stuck with me, and I've tried to live that way as best I can. Certainly not perfect, but I do believe that that is in the core of a lot of what we need to do is to kind of build people up and give them that leg up.
Phenomenal. And as a proud person I am sometimes, I've always been a pro immigrant kind of person. Yep. I mean, when I agree with Hannah, but this is not a Hannah. This is, I think, the most holistic, natural approach, getting someone, a migrant that's coming to a very, very foreign land, very foreign language, culture, lifestyle, what have you, is do that. And personally, I've helped some immigrants here and there, and I even encouraged them. Listen, you are smart. Your problem's not about your English. So if you got an accent, New York is, I mean, me, I guess probably I could say for New York, proudly, we're used to a bunch of accents, except for probably a super ultra thick one. That's probably the exception. But if it's mild to even low, oh, New York, we, our ears just filter that out. What you want? How can I help you? And that's a good filtering that I probably says New York. I've always been a pro migrant person, and yeah, it's good to see them do well in this country because they vast majority of them are hardworking and they want to make it work for their families. So let's just be absolutely clear. Forget about the political noise you hear from both sides of the aisle, especially on the right on this one. Yeah, because some of their point of views have been ill informed. Okay. Let me do some shameless plug-in, especially the idea that I want to go through. Where's that? Where's my favorite page right now? Excellent. Right here. Well, your difference speaks for itself. Check the website, okay? Yep, that's the noise of New York for you. Sometimes my unofficial co-host, the background of New York, pops in whenever it feels like it. All right, let me continue. Times of the essence. We don't settle for boring. I like that. They even walk the walk, constantly innovating. And you want to know why they do that? And this is my little twist to it, because being average is overrated. Okay. Being average is obsolete. Okay. That's my little plug-in for them. If you want to take that, feel free to add that into your website in the future.
Absolutely. Trademark pending.
There you go. So let me go through. Okay, let me get to your long list of products. All right. Let me just advertise your organization more properly now. Who is this uncommonly? Who are they? They're a premier award-winning training company. And they've been around the block for, I would say, at least a decade. Probably a little more. That's provide training solutions for business analysis, product management, project management, product ownership, scrum master, and positive conflict. Okay. And their exciting training unlock their true potential for delivering meaningful change, not just change of your pocketbooks and your ego. Boost your career to incredible heights. Then we got workshops, courses, training events that provide practical approaches, essential topics, and noteworthy real life examples, not just this what if stuff that we get bored with. They've been around, like I said, for at least 10 years, going on 11 for sure. 90 plus courses, have more than 20,000 students, or 500 companies that they work with that they have at least impacted directly, indirectly. And they have over 3,000 reviews. So they got backing. They're not just saying it just to say it. And what's the awards here? Top 10. They have top 10 business analysis boot camp. And they're also the Midwest winner, okay, of Technology Elite Awards of 2019. And Inside Pro even have them the top 10 boot camps for business analysis. So they're not just some random organization, okay? They're just not. And they even got partnerships with, I already mentioned TechFluent. They also part of the Agile Lines, Scrum.org, International Institute of Business Analysis. Okay. Yeah. So they're very international. It's not just in America, and Project Management Institute. Okay. Oh, and the books. I want to get to the books. We already plugged in some of the positive conflict you've heard. Fail fast, fail safe. And if you ain't got all the books as well, little slices of big truths. Your guide to being a bad bleep, bad A analysis. Okay. You see, I'm even trying here. The Uncommon Book of Analysis techniques, over 200 techniques of analysis. I'm not sure I'm going to learn them all. I think it's okay, I guess. And 7 powerful analysis techniques, core techniques that every analyst must learn, or else you are going to struggle. You see, I just even filtered that one. I was going to say fail to be dramatic, but struggle.
Go.
Oh, okay. So he's not just run his whole thing. He's been the author. I already went through a list of books, and that's one of the things he did put first. But I wanted to focus more on the tech aspect of it, because that's what his podcast is all about. But is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, a great interview. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, I like to try to make things fun. So I'm happy I fulfilled that little side goal. You seem like a fun person, so I assume you was gonna get it. That's a small risk that I took, to be honest.
It's a
So
good risk.
it's a small one, not a big deal. Not jump over the cliff kind of risk. That is gonna be not out of times. Gonna generate very bad outcome. And don't do that, people. Just analogy. Just figure of speech. You know, so certain of you like to twist my words. I know who you are. So, alrighty then. So, thank you for being here, Paul Crosby. I'm not even sure I set your name, to be honest, about this whole thing. So, that's the name for you, Paul Crosby. Not, don't confuse him with a former comedian that's done horrible things.
Oh, yeah. That's Cosby. There's to drop the R. Yeah.
Yeah, just add that R between the C and the O. You're fine. And it's Paul Crosby. Okay. All righty then. Thank you so much. Thank you for providing such bubbly personality. And he did show his authentic self. I could tell. He had to, but he did. Because he was very comfortable answering these questions. Even though I'm sure he was going to answer it, but he even brought his authentic self. So that I could detect right away. And this is coming from a not cynical, but a pretty alert New Yorker for the most part. So
Oh, yeah. Pragmatic New Yorker.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So out of the way, you're free to go. I'm gonna have to do my little outro that I normally do here. So it's great meeting you. Unless you want to stay and hear the outro, that's up to you. You got 10 minutes back.
No worries. I got a class that I'm teaching here in 10 minutes, so I need to get going. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. It really was.
Yeah, no, I've definitely learned some things. So all right then. Take it easy. Knock them
All
dead.
right. Thank you. You too. We'll see you later.
So all right, listeners, if you have enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe. One more call to action before I really wrap up this episode. Sadly, I forgot to include this during this interview, but go to theuncommonleague.com. That is THEUNCOMMONLEAGUE.com. Theuncommonleague.com. Okay? And I also put the visual version as well. You're just going to see the link. And if whenever you at, wherever you at, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night. Hope you got something out of this.